Okay, we're working. Hurrah! So, why is it every time you load anything on a Windows machine, the sound drivers seem to switch all the devices out on you, even if you were using them 10 minutes before? Anyway, we are in Flight Simulator 2024 today with a live stream looking at the brand new Carenado Beechcraft B390 in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. So we're going to go and have a good look around the airplane before we get started. It looks lovely, doesn't it? So we'll go and have a pan around the airplane, seeing what it looks like, and then we'll come in close and have a look in detail at it. So it's kind of reminiscent of the Longitude, isn't it? It's like a mini Longitude. So we're at Sedona, by the way, and we're going to be flying over towards, let me get this right, I'm going to have a quick look at the map before I tell you where we're going. Going to Palm Springs. So we're parked at Sedona at the moment. We're going to follow a SID and a star to test it out along the way. So it looks really lovely. So let's go and have a look around the gear. And let's go and see just how much detail they've put into this thing. That's ridiculous, isn't it? These aeroplanes are just getting more and more crazy, aren't they, with the level of detail in them. You can see, look at all the calipers on the wheels. Shall we go and have a look inside? I'm taking off from Sedona. So being asked in the live stream. So we're going to fly in through a window into the cabin first. So as you can see, there are doors that separate the cockpit from the cabin. And there are doors at the back. We'll come back in here with the pilot, the view, and then obviously we'll be able to interact with things. There are a few interactive elements around the place. So if we fly through the door over here into the cockpit, you can see it's not like any of the other Carenado airplanes that have been out. So it's got I think it's the same avionics kit that's in the CJ4. So it's kind of a dumbed down version of the Boeing systems, or similar than the Boeings have. So we got, it's very well rendered, but then you kind of come to expect that with Carenado. We'll get it all fired up in a moment, take it for a flight. I just want to show you around the quality of everything before we get going. So lots of lights that will come on like a Christmas tree when we first power it up. And they provide, I haven't written up any instructions, and I've kind of followed my nose with starting the airplane once, so hopefully I'll be able to do it again without too much trouble. So overhead we have the lighting controls. So you've got all the internal lights, and then you've got the external lights. But yeah, it's going to be good fun to fly. So let's go and jump through the window. and leave the drone camera over here. So we need to go to walk around mode first before we do anything with the aeroplane. Okay, so we're going to press Shift and X to go back to normal view, then Shift and C to go to the walk around, because there's a few bits and pieces. I've already taken covers off of the aeroplane, so you got to see it. But if you go, we can go and remove the pitot covers, remove the chocks. I think that's about it, actually. I don't think there's any under the wings we need to take care of. No. We'll just have a quick check around the other side and make sure. No, it's looking good. So I'm going to press Shift and C. We don't have to press Shift and C. We can go and click on the door and it will animate, and then we'll find ourselves inside the aeroplane. Okay, so we'll just go and double check that it's actually closed the door behind us. So if we go and open these ones, yeah, it's closed. So I promised we'd go and have a look at some of the interactive elements inside. So there's stowage at the back. And the tables pop out, which is quite the common trick these days. They've all got nice sounds, which is good. Better put them away before we go and fly, otherwise I'm guessing that's a risk. I'm not sure if anything else opens up. Doesn't look like it. Someone's going to tell me now that there is a way of opening all this stuff, aren't they? So anyway, we'll go and jump back into the pilot seat and we'll pop the yoke off. Whoops, pop the yoke off if we can get to it. So I won't turn the head tracking on just yet. So standby and battery goes to on, and that fires up most of the systems. And some of the cooling fans you hear coming on in the background. Let me just check the volumes, make sure you can hear everything. I'm going to turn everything up to maximum so you get to hear everything properly. Okay, so as you can see, all the lights have come on, but it's fairly straightforward actually to get things up and running around the aeroplane. So we'll go and turn the radios to on over here. Oh, we can't do that yet, we need the avionics on. So we'll go and put the engines on first. So we've got fuel pumps here. You'll notice that the engines are in cut-off to begin with, so I'm going to move them to idle. Can move this out of the way. We've got the trim controls down here. So I'm very much following my nose with this at the moment. We've got, see, notice I said it's the same avionics suite that seems to be in the CJ4. So to get the engines up and running, we arm the ignition, and then we can go and start each engine in turn, and you will see the N2 come up. And it will automatically fire the engine up. You can see, look, inter-turbine temperatures come on automatically. If we go and look outside, you can see the heat pouring out. If you look from the right angles, there you go, look. So we've broken some aviation laws straight away. We should have had the beacon light on before we did that. We'll put the nav light on at the same time. Okay, that's the first engine started, then we'll go and start the second engine. So it's very automated. While we're waiting for that, let's go and go into position initialization, pick up the GPS. The front page of this system isn't operative properly. You have to go into flight plan. So we're going to be going from Sedona, KSEZ, drop that in, and we're going to KTRM. So we will, now we can put the beginnings of the routing in here. Are we going to go via some waypoints? Yes, we are. So we're going to go via DRK. So we'll go DRK. And then we go next page. And we can go via PKE. And execute that. And then we can go into departures and arrivals, and departures will be runway 21 and the biter 1 standard instrument departure. So runway 21 and biter without transition, execute. And then we go back to the index, we can go then and do the arrival into Jaqueline Cochran. So we're going to go, I actually haven't programmed it on here, have I? Show arrival procedures. We want the RNAV into... Oh, has it actually got it? Oh, I'm showing the wrong runway here. No, that's Jaqueline Cochran. What am I doing? Oh, it's it hasn't actually got one, so we're going to be flying straight in. We'll take the star to Merck and then it's manual. Okay. So we are going to be able to say we're coming in on a given runway there. We'll go runway 17 and execute. Although we should be able to put this star in. So we want the Red Bull 1 star. I think that's the one I've got here, isn't it? Yeah, Red Bull 1 with the PKE transition. Red Bull 1 with the PKE transition. Execute. So then when we go and look in the legs page and we go next, and we can have a look down through, and we've got a discontinuity at the end because that's the vectors. Okay, so that's where we fly the plane ourselves. Okay, so engines are up and running, so generators can come on and the avionics can come on and everything comes to life and it starts aligning and configuring itself. And you see most of the lights have gone out, so we can go and put the pitot heats on in a moment. We just wait, so it says here, look, don't move the plane because it will mess up the calibration of the inertial navigation system. But we can at least go and set the target altitude. So we're going to go up to about 28,000 feet, I guess, just to give it a... Oh, we'll go a little bit lower than that, maybe. We'll see how we get on. So if I take it up to 28... So 16, 17, 18, 19. It's a bit of a chore rolling this round. Is that... Will they allow us to go any faster? No, not really. So there's 28,000 feet. And can we pre-program the modes maybe? So if we go nav mode straight off the back, so that's going to show... Yeah, it's not going to let us do it, look. But we can put heading mode in. So we can set the heading bug for the runway direction. So if we go and have a look at where we're departing from, runway direction's 216 degrees. Gone the wrong way around the compass here, haven't I? Or maybe not. Okay, we'll sort that out when we get to the runway. Let's have a look round then. So do we need any ice protection now? It's just going to be the pitot heats. That's all the radio comms. Let's go and put the... We don't have a taxi light, do we? Recognition light. Let's see what that does. So should we go and have a look outside? So the nav lights are on. I'm guessing this is the recognition lights. Let's have a look. So ECU, let's go. We don't actually get to turn that on. Look, that's not operational. Anyway, unless I'm missing something, of course. So we'll press the flight plan button to come back to the front. And we can taxi out because we've just got the parking brake and the pitot heats showing up. So let's go and put the head tracking on. And we'll taxi out to the runway at Sedona. So how loud is it? Let's go and double check that. So yeah, it's pretty loud, isn't it? I just turn it down a bit so you can hear me over it. I think that's a stock simulator aeroplane in front of us. I'm always worried when I do live streams. If I have multiplayer on, people will bomb the live stream. It seems to be some people just live to mess up other people's day. We'll taxi to the far end. Hopefully they'll go before us. This is stock scenery, by the way. Sedona is really lovely. Parking brake on for a moment, and let's go and do the final few bits and pieces. So landing lights on, pitot heat's on, and I think, yep, we're, apart from the parking brake, we're good to go. So we've got the altitude pre-programmed. Now, can we go and do any of this yet? So yeah, there we go. LNAV1 is on, and we should be able to do flight level change. There we go. And it's going to choose a speed to get there at. So yeah, we won't do that just yet then. We'll just use pitch control. So we could use vertical speed. That might be an idea. So we'll go and set it. We'll preset it to see how it behaves at 2,500 feet a minute. So when we engage autopilot, I think it will override that anyway with whatever vertical speed we're doing at the time. Okay, parking brake off. Head tracking on, and flaps 1. And indicated airspeed is alive at 40 knots. And start rotating. Gear up. Crikey, you don't get views like that very often, do you? Hey, let's get the autopilot on then. Interesting, look, it's dropping the nose. Okay, let's do flight level change. So it should hold at 160 and just climb like crazy. So the vertical speed really didn't do much. So coming up through 7,500 feet. So here we're climbing out towards the first waypoint. Throttles are still jammed all the way forwards, so it's holding 99.9%. We can obviously change the speed, so let me turn the head tracking off so we can do this in a stable manner. So if we increase the speed, say to 180 knots, it's going to drop the nose to get to 180. And it's just coming up to the first waypoint, so watch the flight director, there it goes. You see Sedona disappearing as we start turning. So just come through 10,000 feet, so landing lights can go off. Oh, we should have had the strobes on. There's always something if I don't use a checklist. Okay, we didn't play with the radios earlier. We're not using ATC, but it doesn't really matter. But there's the radios, and we can turn the pressurization to auto. So there's a few things that you can play with around the cockpit. It's debatable how accurately they respond to doing anything. You can see here the voltage being generated and various other bits and pieces. It's all good fun. So we're flying out towards the next waypoint. There's various bits and pieces here. We should have done this while we were lower. The terrain radar is quite good. When we come into the other end, I'll switch it on, so we'll get to see the hills. So we're approaching the next waypoint, and we're turning out towards Pipo. So if you zoom out on the map, and we should find ourselves, there we go, making the turn towards Pipo, then out towards Sidti, and then we'll be on our way. It's coming through 14,000 feet. Yeah, let's have a look at this ECU switch. What, is it a bug? I think they haven't implemented it. I may be wrong. I've been wrong before. So we'll go performance. So we didn't put in 280, did we? Let's go do that. Execute. I don't know if it will follow VNAV properly, but we're just doing a flight level change to get up there quickly. So you can see us doing that here. So if we come back, we're at 102% at the moment. It's Carenado, so it's not going to damage the engines, but we'll come back to 95, 96% on the engines. Yeah, the Carenado aeroplanes, they have their critics, but I actually admire that they aim for accessibility. So, you know, people that don't want to be torn to pieces by missing one button press or one setting in the cockpit are not going to wreck the aeroplane. That's some scenery, isn't it? That's Flight Simulator 2024 doing its thing. There's some graphical anomalies going on. I know NVIDIA have been having a few issues recently, so maybe that's to do with that. Yeah, there's all sorts of little graphical anomalies happening now and again. So you can see we haven't done the barometric pressure, so it came through 18,000 feet a few seconds ago. So we can fix that by, do we just click the baro knob? Or do we have to go and put it to, no it won't. Interesting. So how do we fix the baros? Have they missed it is the question. Because if we just go comma, okay, so comma did it. There's a bug there as well then. We're finding the bugs for them, aren't we? So you've got a pressurization panel over here. We left it on auto obviously, but you can see it's controlling it pretty well. So if we go and look on the legs page, what sort of data can we get? We haven't got any wind data. Yeah, it's not active, look. So you can't do a lot with that. Didn't mean to do that. So if we go and have a look, so Direct 2 works. There is an index page, so status, index, position initialization, we saw that earlier. Okay, so you can program the comm radios in here. That's the tuning page normally that you'd do that. It's kind of good enough, isn't it? Good enough to navigate yourself around easily enough. So let's have a look. We're flying obviously towards or we will be flying in a moment towards a VOR station. So the Drake Prescott VOR, DRK. It's a Vortec actually, but we can go and tune that in though. So 11410. So if we go to tuning and we want nav 1 to 11410, wasn't it? Yeah, 1141. Oh, we have to put the decimals in probably. Let's try it. No, it understands. So we'll wait until we've completed the turn. And we'll bring heading mode round to match the direction we're going, or that we want to be going. And we'll switch to heading mode, and then we'll switch over the nav source for the aeroplane. So we'll just let it straighten up first. This is interesting. Look, while we were playing around with the data. Can we get back out of that? I wonder if that's related to this at all. Okay, so now we're going in a straight line. We'll go to heading mode and we'll change the source, and that gives us the course knob now. So as we spin it around, it's now pointing towards the VOR. We know we're flying straight towards the VOR anyway. So when this gets into the middle, the CDI should sweep in. There we go. So it's obviously crabbing slightly. So then we could go nav mode and it will track. So it's doing VOR 1. And it's tracking the VOR with the autopilot. And you should get distance measuring equipment here, look, showing the countdown on the way in. 35 miles to go. So how have we ended up with this page on the screen? Menu. And you can use this, I imagine, to... Yes, you can, look. Rows. And click. No. Is there an enter button or something down here? We will figure it out. So it almost works. That's frustrating that it doesn't allow you to reprogram it. So we've lost the navigation display somehow. Those buttons control this, so And the co-pilot buttons control this as well. Interesting. So I don't believe that for a moment. They're saying VOR2 is DRK. I'm sure we tuned in VOR1, didn't we? Nav1. What's going on? Is it broken? It's rather mysterious that this is stuck on this screen. We can get the menu up for it with the buttons down here, which is similar to lots of other airplanes with the same kind of avionics kit. But it would appear we can't select anything. And oh, unless it needs both buttons. It's Carenado, isn't it? Nope. How weird. Just try blindly pressing some buttons and see what happens. Nope, there's nothing hidden in those. How weird. We've broken it. It had nothing to do with the ECU switches, did it? Oh well. We'll hand it back to the dealer and say maybe we'll have another think about it. That's bizarre, isn't it? You can't get out of the takeoff reference screen. So someone is saying under the TCAS button, this just controls this. There is no button that controls, because this is normally controlled by this panel of buttons down here. These are for the flight management computer. These are for this system. So unless I'm being completely blind, so everybody in the live stream chat is saying data, but nobody's saying what they mean by that. So, by the way, we're flying off course here while we're messing around with this. Should we get it back on track? Heading mode. We want to be flying, to get anywhere near the track, we want to be flying about 250 degrees. So we're saying data on the FMC. Oh, okay. Well, that's super unintuitive, and it doesn't completely remove it. So I'm presuming the roller here then will go... No, that doesn't go through those options either. So once you get that on the screen, you cannot get rid of it. That is really odd. It's clear won't do it either, look. Because that's just for the normal use of the FMC. So the live stream are telling me, press the small arrow in the display. There is no small arrow in the display. And then they're saying left arrow will adjust the top of the display. There is no left arrow. Unless you mean somewhere else. This is the problem with live stream, isn't it? It's very difficult to explain in text where you could point at something. It's very odd. Okay, the small arrow was the marker next to the soft key. FMS text incompatible, checklist index, okay. Lower format is allows you to cycle through these, okay. So having done that, do these disappear? Yes, they just disappear on a timer. So you can do the same on this one then. To cycle through the modes for the HSI. So we're coming back towards the track. We can change the zoom level down here with the... Oh, I thought we could. Oh, it's here, isn't it? Yeah, range. What is it about 1990s and 80s avionics systems that they try to make them as unintuitive as possible? It's waggling. So we're doing a Mach 0.5 with the engines at 96%. It's a little bit gutless, isn't it? It's not very fast. So if we push the engines on, let's see how fast it will go. Does look nice. Yeah, so normally I do my homework on the aeroplanes, but today I didn't, and it's showing. Yeah, this is very similar to some of the other Carenados, isn't it? In terms of the way the buttons are different, though, in terms of the controls. So this would normally be up here on the CJ4, is it? And the screens are lower down. It makes a lot more sense. It's almost like somebody got bored when they designed the aeroplane and thought, where can we put this where it's the least intuitive place to put it? Okay, how are we doing on the route? We've just overshot the the navigation route. So let's turn back across our route and then hit the nav button and see what it does. It'd be a good test, actually. So then if we go nav, so it's hooking up VOR1 again, but if we go and switch this to interesting, that is interesting actually. What on earth? So that says VOR2, but that says VOR1. Am I finding every way to break the aeroplane? And this, okay, we're on VOR1. If we want VOR2, we have to press it. That's bizarre. But we've now lost the GPS as an option. But it's showing over here. Oh dear. That'll do it. It's not intuitive, is it, at all? It's very bizarre. It's like almost these two controls are going between nav bearing and this button are at cross purposes with each other. And when that was in VOR, cycling them didn't take it back to GPS. Or FMS, I should say. Very, very weird. So just leave it on GPS, I guess, because switching modes turns into a sliding block puzzle. So do we get to see two different sets of data in here? If we go to legs and index, yeah, so it's completely independent. That's quite good. They didn't always used to be like this. in the simulators. Some of them would give you horrible experiences where both screens were in synchronization because there was actually only one being rendered. Anyway, so we're about 60 miles from top of descent. Interesting aeroplane. Should we drop it down to say 18,000 then? So if we go and set the altitude target, we'll have a play with the vertical speeds and see how well they work. So if we go vertical speed and we drop the aeroplane at 500 feet per minute, so let's see what happens. And the speed creeps up. Okay, so that works. If we then go for speed mode, so if we do flight level change, it will target the speed we're at. So if we go for a higher speed, then the airplane will descend, obviously. So it will target the airspeed we've chosen. So if we were to stop it here, didn't get much room to move that smoothly. That was one click of a mouse wheel, about 20 knots worth. And that's going fairly level. So we could obviously control that by power. So pulling the power back will make us descend. And we've gone back to heading mode. Look, let's go nav. And now it's not going to turn back on its own, or is it? Do we have to put it on an intercept course to get back to the track? So let's see at what point it drops heading mode and goes back to LNAV. So yeah, this is just reading the live stream comments, this is the session you normally don't see when I go and fly an aeroplane around in circles, headbutting the desk, trying to make sense of quite often unintuitive controls. And this is a really classic case of that, where you can see that this pulls up a dialogue that wasn't there to press with the soft keys. But then what does this do? Obviously doing that will have broken that again, so let's go nav. LNAV1 is still on heading. So if you watch the CDI, when it comes closer to the middle, it should drop heading and go to LNAV. It's just getting to 18,000 feet, so it should level out as well. So you can see, there you go, look. Flight directors are lifting the nose. And the CDI is coming in as we get closer to the track. And the speed's falling off because it's leveled out, obviously, so we'll pull the power back up. So here comes the CDI, and is it going to drop heading mode? Get ready. How close does it need to get? It's flashing the barometric pressure because we're at 18,000 feet and we're in the US. There it goes. It's just captured the LNAV, so you'll see it starting to kick the flight director either way. So it will start turning right soon. There it goes, look. Okay. So let's go and have a look at the constraints. I haven't got Navigraph running today, but we'll have a look in LittleNavMap, which can almost do the same thing. So if we have a look at, you can see the constraints written on actually, look. 17 above 17,000, below 23. So we are good for that one at the moment. Then down to 11,000 at BRAP. Down to 8,000 minimum at RD Bull or Red Bull. Then it's manual after Merc. So what we could do in LittleNavMap to help us out a little bit is go show or set destination runway. So we want to set runway 17, and it will at least project a line on the map for us, which is not part of a flight plan or anything, just gives us some visual indication of the bearing we need. We could mark that in and go measure. Obviously in the real world you'd get vectors from the tower. So we're saying 195 degrees magnetic once we pass through Merc, so we'll go to heading mode. But we're way out here at the moment, coming in towards PKE. You see that on the navigation display. I don't like this wing waggle. That's almost certainly a feedback loop in the programming of the autopilot. It's really hard to stop that, you know, to damp that sort of thing out in programming. So let's go and spin the heading bug to 240. Shall we drop down to, if we go to, we could go a bit faster, couldn't we? But I'm just wondering if we have another look at this. So we descend after tune down to 8,000 at Red Bull. The elevation of the airfield is minus 129 feet. It's below sea level. That's interesting. So we could speed up. So let's push the throttles up against the stops and see how fast this thing will go in a straight line. It's not that powerful. Looks photographic, doesn't it? It's very impressive. So we need to get past tune before we start descending, if we're following the IFR route. So if we look down here, you can see that written in on the legs as well. Should we try VNav out and see what happens? So if I just change the target altitude, obviously it's not going to react because we haven't told it a mode to get down. If we tell it we want to get to 8,000 feet, which is I think where we exit the star, if we just say VNav, what will happen? And what indication do we get of where the VNav plan is? Because it shouldn't start descending until it gets to top of descent. Should we go and change the zoom on this? So if this does the top of the display, okay, so you can get a rundown. I just wondered what data you can get up here. So it's probably best to have the rundown of the next few legs. So it's giving you the estimated time en route and the distance for each of the next few waypoints. That's really useful. The scenery out here is amazing, isn't it? It just looks real. So do we have any window shades? Doesn't look like it, does it? There we go. Why are we turning? Oh, there was a slight bend in the route, but not much. So how do we see the fuel we've got left? So there's the oxygen pressure. Fuel is over here. It's an interesting transfer switch, isn't it? So it's easy enough to transfer fuel backwards and forwards. I wonder if we can shut an engine down in flight. I'm tempted to try it. To see if we can then switch it back on again. Should we try it? Just for a bit of fun. Ignition off. So presumably the ignition doesn't need to be on all the time then, because that hasn't affected anything. But then if we turn the fuel pump off, these are boost pumps though, remember, and most gas turbines have their own pump anyway. So if we go in then, can't put it back to shut off, or can we? Is there a click spot to allow that to happen? Let's go and have a little look. Is it a lever you have to pull on? Nope. Interesting. So maybe you can't. The waggling's gone away. Maybe because we're a bit slower. I wonder if the waggling only shows up then when you're going a bit faster. Okay, so the VNAV hasn't kicked in yet. But then we're not at top of descent just yet, so let's wait and see what happens. Here's the next turning point. So what's the betting that Burrap is a shooting range for the military? If we go and turn on the sectors, there's nothing much showing up. No, it's not. It's just that that's the sound an A10 gun makes. So I started wondering. What sectors are around here? There are some restricted areas, look. Interesting. Now, this would be an interesting one, but just while we're flying along, we've got a minute or two to spare. If we type in Homey, so it's Groom Lake. There's the box that you're not allowed in. Yeah, it's not as if you turn on, have we got US IFR low charts? What about sectionals? It's interesting, isn't it? All these areas you have to stay the hell out of if you're a normal aeroplane. Anyway, it's a diversion. Let's see if VNAV has kicked in. Not yet. Should happen any moment then. So here comes the profile. Okay, so you do get this is what I wondered, if we would get a profile view. So I'm just pulling the speed back. And it started descending on the VNAV profile. So it's up to us to control power. To therefore control speed. Because it doesn't have automatic speed control, it just uses flight level change to do that. Okay, let's bring the range down again on the display. So the airport we're going to, did it have ILS at all? No, it doesn't. It's a visual approach, that's fine. It's a nice clear day. The scenery does look amazing, doesn't it? Very cool. So in a complete contrast to flying these little business jets around in Flight Simulator and finding my way around the cockpit on first flights, I'm going to be going back to X-Plane very soon. I went and bought the Tollis A320 recently. I had the A321 for X-Plane 11 years ago, so I've now gone and bought the updated A320 for X-Plane 12. So I'll be having a look at that very soon, just to see, well, I'm going to show you how similar it really is to the Phoenix and some of the other Airbuses. So we're down below 18,000 feet, so we need to go and sort out the barometric pressure. So let's go, and if I press comma again, it's taking it away, look. But we had no way of going to standard on the baro knob. It didn't do it. Look. But comma does. Oh no, it doesn't. When you're below, because comma is obviously always going to go to, it's not going to toggle it, it's going to go to the correct barometric pressure for wherever you are. So we've got a magnetic compass. So let's go and put that terrain mode on. Can't click it with the head tracking on because it drifts just enough that you can't hit these tiny buttons. So normal map mode will show bodies of water by the look of it, but terrain mode should light up like a Christmas tree in a few minutes because of all this lot. So I only told this to go to 8,000 feet and then hold. So let's go and pull the range down again. So it's holding at 9,000. Let's go and check that against the map. There we go. So above 8,000, below 9,000. And then, yeah, it's following basic own navigation on the way in. Look, so Merck has got 8,000 feet as a limit. So it's interesting it's holding us up at 9,000 though. We should be below 250 knots, by the way, below 10,000 feet, so we'll go sort that out. We're also below 10,000, so the landing lights should come back on. So, if you remember, we charted a course of about 195 magnetic then. So let's go manual. So if I can cancel the autopilot. And we'll turn 195 degrees. squidge ourselves a bit forward in the cockpit so we're not having to... It's really just so you can see the instruments as easily as I can, because I know the resolution won't be quite so good coming out of YouTube. So you can see the airfield just over there, look. So does it have... Oh, here we go, look, the radar's starting to show up hills behind us. So I'm just wondering, do we have any spoilers? No. Okay. So we're visual with the runway. We're very high, so I'd be inclined to either fly a circuit around the airfield, do like a military style circuit, because we're very high, look. We could try side slipping it to see what it does. Just trying it now. Yeah, that's not going to not going to descend that quickly. So this is why there are vectors, because I'm guessing the airfield would put you into a pattern. Because I'm on... Put the throttles back to idle, and we're not losing much in the way of speed. So we'll fly a pattern overhead. So let's, to help ourselves do that, I'm going to put the FMS on just to turn the course round to go the same way as the runway, and that will help us just to turn quickly and easily. So down to 1500 feet. If we get to about 1000 feet above sea level, remember this airfield is below sea level. Somebody up there. So there's our 1000 feet. So let's turn. There's a race car track below us. Who's going to tell us what racetrack that is then? Okay, so there's our reciprocal. Shall we look outside? About to scare the Cessna to death. Well, it was very straightforward to land. So while we're rolling in, the landing lights can come back off. Oops. The strobes can come back off. The radar can come off, but I'll have to turn the head tracking off to do it. Not the radar, the terrain, I mean. So speed brake left of the throttle, the switch. Oh, there is a speed brake, but okay, it's not attached to. It's not attached to the normal simulator brake controls. That's a bit nasty. But we didn't need it anyway. Just a bit of drag helped us down. We'll find out about shutting those engines down in a moment. That's a shame that the speed brake is independent of the normal spoiler lever or axis. I guess they determined it's a switch, therefore it shouldn't really be on the same axis as spoilers. Is he waiting for us? Or are we supposed to go elsewhere? Okay, so can we actually shut this thing down? Will it let us? Because we've had the ignition and everything off for ages. Oh, when you have weight on wheels, it will. Interesting. It wouldn't do that in the air. Interesting. It's a great little aeroplane, isn't it? Let's go and turn some of these systems back off. I don't think it's got any state saving, but you never know. Trying to remember what we switched on. So avionics can come back off, the generators can come off now, and the power can go off, and we're cold and dark. Oh, I should have turned the light switches off as well. So coming around the side of the aeroplane, it's got this really annoying feature of 2024 where if we go and open the door, it will end up standing outside as if by magic rather than letting us walk out. And there we go. Having said that, if we press Shift and... no, not Shift and Z, Shift and X, we get to have a look around with the drone camera again, for those that didn't see it earlier in any great detail. So yeah, this is the Carenado Beechcraft B390. or 391A is the full designation. It certainly looks the part, doesn't it? And it is a typical Carenado aeroplane, which I don't think is a bad thing at all, that it's quite simple. You know, you can't get into any trouble with it, you can't stress the engine, you can't damage the systems. So if you drop the flaps at too high a speed, it's not going to wreck them. If you drop the gear at too high a speed, it's not probably going to wreck the gear. I've not tried it, but I wouldn't expect it would. But there you go. I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you enjoyed that. So that was the first look at the Carenado Beechcraft B390 business jet, which is available in the marketplace now. So I bought it about 10 minutes before I started the live stream. So I'll see you again soon. Take care.